Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I have this sweet farewell card to share with you. Let's get started. For today's card, we're going to start with a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4. And I need a piece of scrap paper and one of my plates from my Stamparatus, and then one of the Plenty of Patterns masks. And I'm going to set this just below center here on my piece of cardstock. Let me see that I've got it straight, more or less. Okay, and I'm going to use some Pacific Point and one of the blending brushes. And then let me just put my finger down here, and I'm going to start by tapping off on my Stamparatus plate. That'll keep that ink wet a little longer so that I can come back and use it. And carefully along the top here. And we just need to add a little more ink to that. And again, carefully along the top here. And out to our corners. If you don't want to hold your mask in place, you could spray it with temporary adhesive, and then your mask will stay where it's supposed to, and you can then just come back and pull it right up from the piece that you're working on. I do want this just a little darker, and so I'm going to add some more ink in here, and same thing over here on my outside edges. I'd like that to be a little darker. Whoops. Don't want to move my stencil. Whoops. And there goes my light. Give me just a moment to pop it back in place. Get some nice, vibrant Pacific Point going on here. Okay, and I think that's enough variation in this. So we have our line here. So I'm going to close up my Pacific Point, and then I want some balmy blue. And before I switch to the balmy blue ink, I'm just going to take my blending brush and kind of wipe it out down here on the bottom of my scrap paper. And then we're going to do the same thing and add some balmy blue over here to my Stamparatus plate, and then begin to meet and get rid of our hard white line there at the top. And I'm more concerned with going around the edges here and then along this line and doing a little bit of blending on this line. Okay, so that's this piece. Now let's do some stamping. I'm going to move all of this out of the way and bring in a piece of basic white. And I've got my sailboat here from Sweet Farewell, and I'm going to stamp in that. It's a new stamp set in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And I'm inking in Memento. And I want 3 sailboats. And that won't matter at all to us. And then I'm going to ink the sentiment, also in Memento. And then stamp down here. And I'm just making sure that I rub all over. And then I'm going to want to cut out my sentiment. So let's take the outline of my stamp and place that over. And then I'm just going to trace that with my pencil, and this will give me a more organic shape to go on this card. Oops, didn't quite get traced all the way around, so let's fix that here. Just trying to meet back up where, let's see if I got, okay, now we've got that. So let me go ahead and cut that out. And then we'll move on to coloring our sailboats. But that way I don't have to worry about my hand being over top of this and smudging it. I'm dealing with a little humidity today. And since this is water-based ink, my humidity on my hands could smudge my stamped image, and we don't want that. Okay, so let me set that aside and we'll get to the coloring. To color, we're going to use some Stampin' Blends, so let me zoom in here. I'm going to start with these Night of Navy blends, and I'm using the bullet points. And let's just give a little shading here with the dark, and then come back with the light and kind of blend towards the center of the bottom of the boat. And we're just going to do that on all 3 of these. Quick and easy. Okay, so that's the bottom of each of the boats. And then I'm going to color, I think this front sail is called a spinnaker. Not quite sure, but we're going to pretend it is, because that's often the one on a boat that is very vibrant. And so I'm going to start with my dark Magenta Madness along the bottom here and up this side, pardon me, I was covering that with my marker. And then we're just going to use, that was the bullet tip. And then I'm using the brush tip here as I blend out, since this is a little larger surface. Okay, and I'm going to color the flag the same Magenta Madness, and I see I'm out of my lines just a little bit, so let me grab my color lifter and we're going to fix that. So I'm just going to use my color lifter and color on either side and below that Magenta Madness to help chase it up into the rest of the Magenta Madness. So we'll let that sit for a moment and I may come back to it again. So then I've got Dark and Light Daffodil Delight, and we're going to do the same thing with this, and using my dark along the bottom and along this inside edge, and then start with my light and blend this. Okay, and I'm going to use the dark this time up on the flag. And I do want to hit this again with my color lifter. And I'm just going to color right over top of that. And we're just trying to push that ink back where it belongs. Okay, and then I've got my dark and light Granny Apple Green for this final one. It'll give us a trio of bright boats. Do any of you all sail? I've enjoyed being on a sailboat, but I don't know how to sail. I had a friend when I was younger who was very good about being able to talk our way onto sailboats when we were at the beach. So it was fun to go out and take a ride. Okay, and the same thing, I'm going to go with the dark up here on my flag. And now it is time to cut these out. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll be right back. So here are our 3 boats all cut out, and while I was cutting I decided that I'd like to add a little balmy blue shading, and so I'm going to use the bullet tip of my light balmy blue, and I'm going to use the color lifter, and I'm just going to go right in here where the sky is kind of going to show through and add a little bit of color. Okay, and then there's one final bit of color that I need to add. We're going to go with the dark soft suede for the mast. And I meant to And that is the bullet tip. I thought all of a sudden that I had put the brush tip out here and thought that will just be harder to use. So let's color the mast on all three of these. And now that my balmy blue has dried, I think I want to add just a little bit of shading down here. We did it nice and light, but it needs a little more personality down. So adding that extra little bit on each one of these. It doesn't add a lot of blue, but it adds just enough to give it some dimension. Okay, now we're almost ready to put our card together. Let's move these aside just a moment. And I've used the Basic Borders dies, this one in particular, to cut some clouds. You can find a chart for these on my blog. So here's what I've cut. And then we need our piece here that we blended at the beginning. We're going to take some multi-purpose glue on this first piece and glue it down. And I want these fluffy clouds near the top. Okay, and then let's grab some dimensionals, and we're going to put this row of clouds up on dimensionals. Oops, that might be just a little over the edge. I love that there are some dies like these in the new catalog that don't coordinate with a specific set, but are great for using with all kinds of sets. Not that I'm opposed to mixing and matching, even when a specific set is designated. Just want to make sure I'm out to the edges. Okay, there are my clouds. They look awesome. So let's put some dimensionals on the back of this layer. Okay, and bring in our card base. It's Thick Whisper White, 4 1/4, no, 5 1/2, sorry, by 8 1/2, and scored at 4 1/4. And we'll pull off our backing. And one more. Okay, and let's grab our sentiment again. It needs dimensionals. Okay, and I'm going to set that in place over here while we place our sailboats around. Let me see if I've got room for many dimensionals along the bottom here. Love these minis. Save so much time with them already a small size. Okay, and then I want a mini up here. As I said, we're just going to place all of these, and then we'll go back, and I'm getting to the point of that card where I get in a hurry to finish, and I just need to take my time. Do you all ever do that? That you're kind of so excited to get to the finish line that you're in a hurry up? Okay, and then let's put these on here. the sailboats were super easy to cut out because they've got really just nice lines. So let's start and pull our backing off. And maybe I should zoom out for this last bit. That always happens to me when I zoom in. Hold on just a moment. Okay. So we're going to put this guy down here. And then we're going to add another dimensional up top here. And a double here. And that way it can set over top of our sailboat a little bit and be even. Oh, this one at the top needs a second dimensional. So let me pull the backing off. I thought I was going to be squarely onto that sailboat, but no. Okay. I repeat it often, the beauty of not pressing down hard until you're sure that you have everything exactly where you want it makes life much easier. And then here we are with our last sailboat. Oops. And that's it for today's sweet farewell card. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with your card making friends. If you're in the United States, please do some of your Stampin' Up! Shopping in my store. You can find a link in the description below. And when you subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell, you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Have a great day. Bye.